Well, welcome once again to another episode of Do As We Say, Not As They Did, a real talk about dating disasters, love life Lotharios, and other people's poor choices. I am your host, as always, Harris O'Malley, aka Dr. Nerd Love, the Z-est of Z-list celebrities. And with me, as always, they're a doctor, they're an educator, they'll be your Huckleberry. It's Dr. Liz.
Hey everybody. You know that line? I didn't understand it until somebody explained to me what huckleberry meant as a slang term back then. It basically meant pallbearer. So Doc Holliday was saying, "I'ma fucking kill you and carry your casket to the grave." And I'm like, that is some hard shit. He's a fucking legend.
Dude just cutting a fucking WWE promo in the 1800s. That was a man ahead of his time.
Just glorious. Glorious. So Harris, what pain are you inflicting on me today?
Well, today I am going to give you one that there's a lot of ones that I was seriously considering. There's a lot of Manosphere influencers who are starting to be a little bit more prominent that I feel like we should talk about. But sometimes you just want to just dunk on one dude where you see a headline and immediately say, "Oh, fuck off." So I am bringing you the story from one Mattha Busby. I would normally not leave the name in, but they published this in the Telegraph, a UK paper of note. The headline is, "Celibacy taught me I'm too clever to find love. Before my sex hiatus, I prioritized physical chemistry over emotional intellect. Now it feels impossible to meet someone with both."
Okay, so the article has a picture of his face. And I will say, for the record, it is a very punchable face. And oh my God, I fucking hate this man already. This article is going to prove everything that is wrong with people who self-identify as sapiosexuals. All right, Harris, hurt me. Let's do this.
All right, if you ask me to hurt you, then hurt you I will.
Don't use that voice with me. It's not fair.
This is gonna be good. The realization that I needed to become celibate arrived one morning last summer.
Oh no.
The previous evening, my ex-girlfriend...
Hold on. I didn't realize this was going to be written this way, so I need to just, calibrate my standards even lower. Okay.
This is gonna be fun because someone's gonna clip this shit and make it sound like it's me. So, gotta do the voice here.
Okay,
the previous evening, my ex-girlfriend, with whom I had been in a kind of post-breakup purgatory, had introduced me to a man she just met, seemingly as a way to remind me that I was replaceable. I responded with a distinct lack of emotional maturity, the fuck you say, and had a one-night stand for the first time in more than 2 years. The next morning, it was obvious something had to change. Instead of feeling restored or enlivened by the encounter, I felt strangely hollow. And this followed
man discovers feelings.
And this followed a pattern. I had been in successive relationships which had each started out strong. The initial attraction would be there, but which ended badly after a number of months and left me feeling distinctly unfulfilled. Days later, I made a vow in front of my men's group.
Okay.
Don't laugh. We meet every week to discuss our feelings. Need a minute?
Okay, go. It's fine, I'm fine.
I made the vow in front of my men's group. Don't laugh. We meet every week to discuss our feelings, while solemnly holding an axe aloft. You can laugh at that bit. I vowed to commit to 6 months of celibacy. This period, I hoped, would help me figure out where I was going wrong in love.
Okay. This is from The Onion. It has to be from The Onion. This can't be serious. It can't be serious. Also, I want to point out his whole, man, I keep having these relationships and then they've been badly and I feel unfulfilled, is such a classic Principal Skinner. Could I be wrong? No, it's the children who are wrong.
I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to spoil a little bit for you. I spent a lot of this going, sounds like a skill issue, dude.
I mean, for real, though. Continue.
But also holding an axe aloft to make his vow. Okay. Honey, it takes more than drama to be a queen.
I think men's groups are great, and I think that they can be done very well, but I think a lot of them just allow men to, reinforce their worst avoidant techniques for their feelings rather than forcing them to face their vulnerability. Right? What if this group, instead of being like, here's the axe man, make your vow, is it like, hey, do you maybe want to look at why it is you keep feeling this way after relationships and why they keep ending? Like, should we maybe talk about that? Like, if instead, which is something that we women, unfortunately, women, non-binary, queers, do to each other all the time. We're like, yeah, baby, I'm so sad for you. Do we maybe want to talk at some point about why all your relationships go this way? Not yet? Okay, we'll check back in a month. Let's just put a pin in that, though. We're not letting that one go.
I'll give him some credit that, like maybe taking a break from sex, not the worst idea, but hang on to your pants because it's going to be a ride. That was last July. My 6-month hiatus from sex taught me a lot. Chief among my learnings is that the smarter you are, the harder it is to find love. Just sink in for a second.
I hate him. I hate him. Continue.
There is research to back up my realization. A recent study conducted by the University of Zurich suggested that people with higher levels of education are likely to be single for longer.
Okay, pause. Higher education does not mean smarter. Like,
Nope.
There's so many factors that go into the ability to attain higher education. It has nothing to do with how smart you are. And
I am
also,
so
you
glad
can tell
you zeroed in on
dude.
that immediately, because
Here's
that was
the
my
thing.
first reaction too.
This is so fucking clear that this is a dude who thinks that, like, IQ is an actual objective thing that has meaning and not, like, a severely problematic construct that measures a very small subset of what it is that intelligence could and should be. Anyway, continue, please, because I can tell you the intelligence that matters to me, this man has 0 on. He is
This is going to be amazing.
Developmentally delayed.
Wait for the moment of, waiter, you don't understand. My lobster is too buttery. My steak is too juicy. I don't know what to do with this.
The fucking dick. Anyway.
I had never focused much on intellect. I gravitated towards people I had chemistry with, people who had a sense of fun and adventure, people who were confident and quirky, and, yes, perhaps shallowly, people who were physically attractive. Sometimes this worked. One of my best relationships was with someone who was also...
Okay, wait, hold on. The framing of people who are physically attractive, as if this is a, like, calcified trait of a human rather than a personal judgment and a personal preference statement.
It's the next one, literally the next sentence. It's going to tell you exactly where we're going with this. Because I'm going to read this paragraph, and then I'm going to explain.
Continue. I read it, and I continue. Go ahead.
One of my best relationships was with someone who was also a former page 3 model. What she may have lacked in academic smarts, she made up for in emotional intelligence. It was my lack of the latter that doomed our relationship after a mostly happy 18 months.
Mostly happy for you! Mostly happy for you! I'm sorry. I'm just like...
So
I'm gonna breathe fire. I'm gonna breathe fire.
For everyone who is not familiar with this, when he says a former page 3 model, he is talking about someone who did what is basically a Playboy pictorial in a UK tabloid on page 3. I forget which one it is. I don't think it's the Daily Mail, but this is a very famous thing in the UK.
Shitty ass tabloids, yeah.
Yeah, he's basically bragging about having dated a former Playboy model.
She had emotional intelligence. He didn't have any. I'm guessing that we're not going to come around to him discovering he needs to actually develop that fucking skill, which is, I don't know, maybe important in a relationship.
Just wait, you're about to get madder. However, the intellectual misalignment often felt oppressive. One particularly beautiful ex of mine didn't know who David Bowie was.
Okay.
Another, again, very fetching foreign girlfriend didn't know that England was on an island. Many girlfriends didn't want to engage with my work if it meant reading a newspaper, and one memorably told me that reading one of my articles was a real turnoff.
She's probably right. She's probably really fucking right, because you're probably awful. If this writing is any indication of how you usually write, it would also be a turnoff for me. Gotta say.
I mean, just like I said, skill issue. Of course, it never occurred to me that the common denominator in these failures was myself.
Okay, here's the thing. Yes, it was. But I have a strong feeling you're not going to come to the correct conclusion about what that failure is.
Again,
Fucking
waiter,
dick.
my steak is
Sorry,
just too
I'm
juicy.
incandescent.
I'm no Einstein. I have a history degree from a second rate university and a master's in journalism. I can just about hold a simple conversation in Spanish and string a few chords together on a guitar.
Ugh. Sorry, I can just picture this douchebag. There were 4 of this douchebag at my undergrad. Continue.
This is the guy sitting at the party in Animal House singing, I gave my love a cherry without any pits. But I have a distinctly British sharpness, an instinct for irony and for wit. In the
It's not
past, I
showing in
have.
this article. I feel like if that's something you have to tell people, you probably don't actually have it. I'm just saying, like, would it be nice if you used any of that in this article?
In the past, I have found myself in far too many conversations with people who couldn't match that energy. One date, for instance, looked at me quizzically when I joked that I admired her decisiveness after she took more than 5 minutes after to choose a drink.
So
I
you were a
stopped.
dick to her and she didn't find it funny? Weird. So strange. How
I
how
stopped making
odd.
sarcastic remarks to any non-Britons I dated afterwards.
Ugh.
Another
Okay.
time, my date spoke constantly about their workout routine and stared blankly every time I tried to change the subject. I made my escape as quickly as I could.
So
I
you didn't care what she was interested in.
I mean, I'm
You
willing to give him
cared what
credit
you
in
were
as much
interested
as
in.
that
Sure.
just general incompatibility. That's
Well,
fine.
and like, do you know how many dates I've been on with dudes who want to talk about their workout routine and their orthorexia that they don't recognize as orthorexia? Like, I get it. And also, bro, that's just a date. Like, I don't, this is not a huge issue.
I love sports and exercise, but also keep up with the grim state of global affairs and love to learn about other cultures. I have visited almost 50 countries, thus, occasionally, I enjoy loftier topics of conversation.
I fucking hate this dude. I fucking hate him. He thinks he's so amazing and he's just mediocre. Like all of his stats that he's given to make him seem so cool and special, I'm like, okay, sure. You've visited 50, almost 50 countries. Too bad you never developed a personality in any of them.
Perhaps it is due to the chronic decline in news engagement, but I often found it witheringly difficult to connect with people who had little, if any, knowledge about current affairs. On one date, I talked about the leader of the country the person was from, and they'd never even heard of him.
You keep choosing people because they're hot. Maybe that's your problem.
Well,
It,
you came to this realization about the same time he did, because it continues recently. It has become clear that when it came to dating, I had been ignoring many sides of myself, focusing instead on instant but often fleeting chemistry with a string of models, tattoo artists, musicians, singers, yoga teachers, and life coaches.
okay, the disdain with which he lists those fucking jobs as if there aren't any intelligent people who do any of those things, as if none of them have a rich interior life or have like a breadth and depth of knowledge of things that he couldn't even fucking come close to understanding. But no, they're not the things he's deemed as important to know about and worldly and intelligent. So, turns out they're all just fucking idiots and he's just such an idiot for dating all these stupid dumbasses who happen to be pretty.
I'm not going to lie, except for the life coaches part, which is the only one where I was like, okay, I'm going to grant you that one. The others, it's just like, these are just people I want to party with.
Right?
These are
Like,
people I do party with. These are my friends. I like
there are
literally
some
speak.
remarkably intelligent people in all of those positions, even life coaches. Some people go into coaching who used to be therapists because it turns out it's real shit to be a therapist and much
And
easier to
like,
be a coach.
I have yet to meet a stupid tattoo artist who was any good at their job.
Any good. It is a remarkably complex job because you don't even, it's not even just you have to understand like color theory and art in a really deep and meaningful way. You also have to understand how those things are going to be affected by the skin tone of the person you're tattooing. So you're doing a remarkably complex set of analysis on everything that you're doing. Plus, you have to understand how different skin is going to take things, pay attention to the way that they are reacting as you tattoo them. So you have to have a high degree of empathy and ability to multitask while focusing on remarkable fine motor control. Like, it is a tough fucking job. You're a fucking idiot.
You also have to be able to like translate 2D art onto a 3D canvas. And trust me, as someone who tried to design his own tattoos on
Mm-mm.
a relatively flat and uncomplicated part of the body, that shit is hard.
Yep.
That's the reason why, as I said in the last episode, I had to get one lasered off because I was really determined to have my own art on me, and served for years as a lesson in when your tattoo artist says, you know, I could do a better version of that for you. Listen.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, as he said, the romance would be intoxicating, but we always parted ways. Yes, because every relationship ends until one doesn't.
Well, and because like it sounds like you don't know how to be a relationship. Like it sounds like you have no idea how to be in a relationship. You don't have, according to yourself, you don't have emotional intelligence. So
Mm.
like skill issue, bro. Skill issue.
Now, all of that would, of course, be fine, but 2 years into my 30s, I was no longer looking for casual flings. I wanted to find a wife.
He says that the way that people are like, yeah, I want to find a new apartment. My old apartment isn't doing it for me. I really need to find an apartment. Right? Like he wanted to find a wife as if you just locate one, not as in that like this is a type of relationship you have to build by treating the other person like a person and meeting them where they're at and developing something together. I wanted to build a marriage. I wanted to create this thing with someone as a like collaborative endeavor. No, I want to find a wife who I will slot into the space that I've created for her.
My 6 month break helped me realize the real correction I crave might require at least a sense that we're both pulling in the same intellectual direction, even if we're taking different routes. Celibacy forced me to step off the hamster wheel of physical attraction and actually think.
Ugh. If only it had forced you to look at your personality. Because I don't think your brain is the problem. I think it's your entire personality. Like all of it needs an overhaul right
No, no,
now.
no. Save your fire. It's going to get worse.
Jesus Christ.
The results, as I have emerged into my brave new reality, have been mixed. The main problem is that there don't seem to be many postgraduate level educated individuals who read the news, are interested in current affairs, and are at least minimally aware of culture, who are also the specific level of
Ah!
attractiveness that I'd usually be
Ah!
drawn to.
Ah!
And certainly it is difficult to find these individuals in the bars and music festivals where I usually come across potential love matches.
No, I need a minute. I need a minute. No. 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 I. Ah! I want to punch him so hard. Initially, it was in the face, but I think he needs a punch in the dick. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm having so much trouble meeting grad students who are also hotties at the music festivals and bars. Okay, I got news for you, bro. The like super hot post grad folks want nothing to do with your sorry ass. You are nowhere near their fucking level. You are a fucking F minus. Like, what the hell are you doing?
Last year, I did meet one gorgeous woman, an actress in a teen romance series, who had recently walked the Camino del Santiago. That seemed to be a rather strong indicator that we'd have a lot to chat about, but when I messaged her, she never replied to my invitation for a drink.
Because you're a loser. Because like you have this hugely inflated sense of how cool you are, and you are not. You're a fucking creep.
It is possible that the really smart people aren't interested in dating me.
Yes.
Knew I was going to tee that one up for you. According to the study, the more educated a person is, the less time they have to devote to seeking and maintaining relationships.
Okay. I love that he just puts that in his throwaway. Maybe they don't want to date me, but like it's because they don't have time. It's not because I am a garbage dumpster. Like, no, it's not me. It's that they're just too busy. She was just too busy to date me. She's a famous actress who also loves to travel and sounds like a great fucking personality. I don't know why she wouldn't want to be with me, a wet fucking blanket that hasn't been washed in 3 months. It's so weird.
My period of celibacy ended at a psychedelics conference in San Diego, California.
Punch him in
I,
the dick, the throat, and the face. All three. All three. At once. We need a tri-punch.
I went on a few dates with an old friend, a clever, socially conscious, and politically active woman who, incidentally, was also gobsmackingly attractive. It's uncomfortable to admit that I still seem to be applying my same old narrow aesthetic criteria, even as I tell myself that I've evolved. I laughed more with her
Okay.
than with any
Okay.
girl I'd ever been with in years. But then we realized we had different timetables when it came to having children. She wants them sooner than I do. The search continues, not just for my future wife, but for a version of love that feels less alchemical and lustful and more like being understood.
Okay. This is such an important line to fucking highlight. What in that sentence is about anything he's offering to a partner?
Absolutely
At
none of
what
it.
point in this entire fucking piece does he talk about literally fucking anything he's going to offer a partner? He talks about all the shit they have to do for him, all the things they have to have, all the qualities they need to bring to the table, all the ways they need to show up for him and be on his timetable and want to do things his way. What the fuck is he offering? A fry that's been on the fucking floor of his car for 6 months? That's about what it sounds like he's offering. He's fucking garbage.
The part that really just kind of gets me, though, leaving aside everything else, is the way that he undercuts his own premise by listing the multiple people who fit his criteria, but the relationship just didn't work. Like,
Yeah,
there's the hot
it just
chick
magically
who
didn't work. For no reason he can identify. It just didn't work, you know? Like sometimes things just don't work. It's like when you try to like open your phone and it's just not working that day. How could anybody possibly know why that is or what's happening?
well, like he specifically mentions like first he found one person who just never returned his calls. Shock, I know. How could anybody never be into
Fucking
this guy? But then the next one, same problem of we got along great, but we had different timetables in terms of when to have kids. None of
Okay,
this is a problem with him being too clever.
here's the thing. She's socially conscious and politically active. She would never fucking date him more than 3 months. Because he's a fucking idiot and a misogynist. He doesn't see these women as people. Like the way that he writes about literally every woman in this article is not as a person. They don't have personhood. And he doesn't have to do anything for these relationships. He's just offering the amazing opportunity to be with him. So why aren't all these women taking it?
Oh, it's the like I said, the whole thing is just a humble brag of just my lobster is just far too buttery and people can't handle that and it's a real struggle. I don't know if I can understand the dating dilemma that comes when your penis is just too big. Except that's an actual problem for
It
some
is an
people,
actual
so
problem.
I
It
actually
is
have
that
some
like
sympathy
I've
there.
as a size queen, I've fucked many people who can't fuck a lot of people. And yeah, that is an actual problem. No, but again, at what point in any of this fucking bullshit article does he, number one, seem like an even decent writer? Number two, seem witty? Number three, seem like he's offering literally fucking anything in a relationship? Right? This is a complaint I have about the way many cishet men approach relationships, which is that what they think they're offering is the opportunity to be with them. That's their offer. You get to be with me and then do the things that I like and make me happy. That's what you get to do. It's a gift. I'm offering you the ability to be with me. And that's a funny joke, but they're not joking. They genuinely feel like that's a valid offer that anyone should fucking want. Dick is abundant and low value, right? Like, I want to come back to that fucking great quote. Dick is abundant and low value. If all you have to offer is the ability to be with you, I got a whole fucking cart full of toys that are going to be a better experience and give me way less shit. And I don't have to worry about them making a bunch of dishes I have to clean up after. So go fuck yourself, because that's the best sex you're going to get, being this fucking boring and thinking that you're the king of the fucking world. Like, you're no Tom Hiddleston, man. You are a fucking shit stain.
The thing, but again, just it just comes so much of it comes back to not like undermining his own like the entire thesis of this article. He undermines it constantly, like the fact that he's the reason why his relationship with the former page 3 model doesn't work was because she had greater emotional intelligence than he did, and so she dumped
But that
him.
doesn't count as intelligence. He's too smart for women, but like her emotional intelligence being greater has no contradiction to that statement. He's just so smart, he can't be that kind of smart because like his brain is too big and his dick is so big he can't reach the sink to do the dishes. Don't you understand, Harris? Don't you understand?
And so many of his examples of like intellectual misalignment aren't like
It's fucking
are not
stupid.
that at all. Not knowing who David Bowie is a bit of a head scratcher, but that just means that's someone who's not interested necessarily in pop culture.
Well, or in
Um,
older pop culture, right? Like he's in his early 30s. I'm
mhm.
guessing he dated a lot of women in their very early 20s. They're not going to know fucking David Bowie unless they're very into music and into historical music, right? Like that's not their generation. I know who David Bowie is because I had very uncomfortable sexual feelings about him watching Labyrinth as a child. And like
a
that was
a
my introduction to David
generational
Bowie.
touchstone, let me tell you.
Right? All of us. Jareth the Goblin King is on that board, right?
You
Like
had
along.
Jareth, I had Jennifer Connelly, just looking at that,
Oh,
going like,
I mean,
oh,
yes.
oh, she's so
Yes, all of
pretty.
it. Both of them. Yes, would. Also, like Tim Curry in Legend, where he was like the devil, basically. Woo, uncomfortable sexual feelings. And then she puts on that black dress and the gothy makeup, and I'm like, I want to fuck all these people.
Now, the
Anyway,
part where
the
people really get fucked up isn't Tim Curry in Legend, it's Tim Curry in Fern Gully, where all of
oh
a sudden
yeah,
people are having some very uncomfortable feelings about pollution.
look.
Why'd you have to make Hedora the smog monster sexy?
Here's the thing, our childhoods were different. Kids today don't understand. You don't have a Jareth the Goblin King. Paw Patrol is not giving you pants feelings.
Oh, do you want to know the games, the pop culture that sent me into puberty early?
Tell me
Dragon's
more.
Lair and Space Ace. Space Ace in particular, because dear fucking god, both of those are just Don Bluth putting his fetishes for damsels in distress on full display, and a
Mm-hmm.
whole bunch of horny 10-year-olds looking at these animated women wearing skimpy clothing, women who were based on like vintage 70s Playboy models, set a whole bunch of us going like, I feel awfully tingly in my pants, and I don't know what to do with this feeling. I'm
I
fairly certain that that Kimberly from Space Ace is the reason why I have had an abiding thing for redheads ever since.
fair. But yeah, like this fucking dude. She didn't know who David Bowie was. So play her a fucking song. Like again, and you know this douchebag is not dating women his own age. You know this douchebag is picking up at bars and music festivals women who are like in the 22 to 25 range primarily. Right? They're not gonna know fucking David Bowie. Maybe you should date a grown up if you want to know someone who knows who Bowie is. Like, date up, man, but they're not going to put up with your bullshit. And again, it's this whole thing of like, I'm too smart. I'm just so smart. But like, knowing who Bowie is has nothing to do with your fucking intelligence,
There's
right?
also the question
Like,
of, is my the thing I keep coming back to, because there's a band that I really like called Cowboy Mouth. They're one of my favorite bands. Seeing them live is a religious experience. And one of their albums that you can't get anymore for contractual reasons, from what I understand, has a song called Joe Strummer. The hook of the song is, she had to go because she didn't know who Joe Strummer was. And the whole point of the song is that the guy singing it is a punk, and the in the bridge of the song he says, how can I date someone who doesn't know how the Clash saved my life? So while there is a certain amount of like, oh, she's a poser and is only into boy bands and that makes her less than me, which, okay, sure, we'll side eye that. The point is that that Joe Strummer and this genre of music is extremely formative and important to the singer. Whereas with this guy, I do not get the hint that David Bowie is really that important to him, other than just he is a cultural touchstone that
I
this
don't
person didn't recognize.
I don't think that anything is important to him. I think that he collects knowledge like bric-a-brac to put on a shelf, not because any of it actually matters to him, but because it's like stuff he can show off, right? Like, oh, and I know about these things. I know about the leader of the country you're from. You don't know them? This is that fucking cliche of nerd dudes who are like, oh, you're into Star Trek? What was the name of the first red shirt killed in the 53rd episode? And you're like, bro, what are you even doing? Like,
It's like, why do you even care about that?
And
But
again, like the lack of curiosity he shows, you know, he doesn't judge himself nearly as harshly. For if one of these women was like, he didn't even understand what happened with Vanderpump Rules and the huge cheating scandal, right? He'd be like, why does that fucking matter? Why does this shit fucking matter to you? Why
and
is your stuff
so
more
much of this
important to
isn't
know
even
about?
intelligence, it's just taste.
No.
Like, many of my girlfriends didn't want to engage with my work if it meant reading a newspaper. Okay, then engage with it in another format, maybe, because
Well, and
maybe the
like
newspaper, like,
the one
especially,
who
like,
did read his article said it was a turnoff
yeah,
because he's like a pompous dick, right? Like, here's the thing. If you write much at all, it's impossible to not let your true personality shine through. I can tell who this person is. And if I read one of his articles that was like a journalistic article and not just an opinion piece, if he does any actual journalism, which I doubt, it would read the same. He would read as this pompous fucking know it all who doesn't have any consideration of the interiority of others.
the part that really just for me just kind of like made me go, okay, fuck off forever, was the whole part about like I have the distinctly British sharpness. In the past, I found myself in far too many conversations with people who couldn't match that energy, and the example that he gives, that's not
Mm-hmm.
matching the energy. That's you were a dick. It's the John Scalzi line. The fail state of clever is asshole.
I watch a lot of like Smosh Reads Reddit stories, and something that comes up very often for them is like, what is a prank? Because a lot of people are like, I pulled this really funny prank. I put Nair in his shampoo bottle, and now he doesn't have any hair on his head. And I'm like, is that a prank or a crime? Like, what's
That's assault.
like, that's assault, right? Or like,
Also, do you like
there was one dude who pulled a prank of putting their baby's poop on toast because she doesn't have a sense of smell and didn't stop her from eating. And I'm like, that's not a prank, that's a crime. And like,
yeah, that's not a prank, that's abuse.
yeah, this dude isn't witty, he's a dick. Like, if your wit falls short, the issue is not the receiver, the issue is you. You did not tell that joke well enough. If a joke flops, it's the fault of the joke, not the fucking audience. If you're not witty enough for them to follow you, that is a you problem, not a them problem.
Like the comment about admiring someone's decisiveness after taking more than 5 minutes to order a drink. Like, I can see a way that you can sell that, but it requires a very specific tone of voice, very specific delivery, and also being told to someone very, very particular who is going to appreciate the comment, as
Yeah.
opposed to just coming off as like, oh, took you 5 minutes to order a drink, huh? It's like,
The key to good humor is empathy, and
yeah.
he has none. So I'm not surprised his quote unquote wit falls short. Again, if he's so witty and ironic, where the fuck is that in this writing? Right?
I,
There's nothing in this that's fucking funny in a like I'm laughing with you way, or even a I'm laughing at you in the way you want me to. This is a I'm laughing at you because you have no fucking clue what a goddamn fucking loser you are. And you he has all these qualities he's decided he has, but everybody around him is like, actually you don't have those, and he's like, no, it's you who is wrong.
the thing that I had to restrain myself from doing while reading this the first time, besides the constant fuck off, fuck off, fuck off forever, was not being like, there are so many ways that you could have pitched this that wouldn't have been a problem if you were just even a slight bit more self-deprecating, in a way that didn't come off as, okay, yeah, my dick is so large it's hard to buy pants.
Well,
It's
okay,
like,
look, let's take this headline. I'm gonna tell you how you could have actually done this well. Celibacy taught me I'm too clever to find love. Actually, could be a great article of someone looking at the ways in which they use sarcasm, wit, humor as a distancing technique from their own feelings and vulnerability with others, right? I'm so focused on being clever that I don't connect, that I don't pay attention to them. I'm not paying attention to me. I'm not being open about myself. So I'm preventing a connection from happening because I'm relying on cleverness. That would have been a fascinating article to read, but it would have required a shred of self awareness and also a shred of fucking care about anybody but you. He just fucking sees these hot women as bang bots who are malfunctioning.
here's the thing that I can tell that this guy was doing, and I know that he was doing it because I have done this myself. He was not talking with people, he was putting on a performance. He
Yes.
was going up to people, and the way that he charmed them was to he's got stories that he tells, things that he says over and over again that he has clearly said many times before, that are very witty, that are very funny. He knows exactly where the laugh lines are. But the problem is that he is not talking, he is doing a bit. I used to do this until there was a point where I was at a bar, and this was back in my pickup days, and I was working from a routine that another dating coach had, that I had commissioned a dating coach to teach me and to help write for me. And as I'm working it and I am talking to this person, she just pauses for a second and says, "So are you rehearsing?" And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, because that wasn't a conversation, that was a performance, right? Like you're workshopping your bit." And I just kind of sat there for a second, just felt my entire ego just shatter like glass and puddle at her feet. I was like, I'm going to go and rethink my life. Bye. And fled the bar. Like, I literally was like, I'm gone. I'm done. I am not recovering from this. I've got to go deal with this. This was bad. And that was, I think, may well have been the first little like step into what ultimately kind of started pushing me out of the pickup scene. But yeah, I have done the whole like I'm talking at you, not talking to you, because I know how to tell stories. I know how to deliver these lines, and I have done it so often I can do it in my sleep. I never thought as like, oh no, I'm coming off like I'm doing a bit. Fuck.
And like again, he comes so close to self-awareness so many times, right? Where he's like, "Oh, I didn't have any emotional intelligence and that's why the relationship failed." He doesn't then go on to say, "I worked on developing my emotional intelligence." Nah, right? Or like this like real shitty fucking comment of like, "I've visited almost 50 countries, thus occasionally I enjoy loftier topics of conversation." Bitch, you sound like the biggest colonizer I've ever heard. I've been to a bunch of countries, and that makes me an interesting person because their culture rubbed off on me, and now I am cultured. And like, did you fucking learn anything in any of those places? How do those experiences change you? You don't even talk about that. Like, it doesn't seem like anything in this world gets through this wall of defensiveness you've built up around your fucking ego.
And it does kind of feel like he's the sort of person who would like, do a year study in like, in Europe and then come back with a completely affected Castilian lisp talking about, oh yeah, for the time I spent in Ibiza was so amazing. Like it's just one
What
of
a
those times of just
person.
like I know exactly what you're doing because I've been there and I have done that, and the fact that you're not recognizing it now, the part that really just sticks out to me is that he never lists like what sort of intellectual conversations he wants to be having with these people, and not realizing that like you can have these conversations about seemingly low brow topics. I have had so many amazing conversations with people talking about Star Trek Deep Space Nine and about what the Cardassians represented as like an
Mm-hmm.
occupying force,
Yep.
or about the way that like that gender fluidity is treated in the Federation,
Which was
and
so
how
great.
nobody blink seems to, especially the Klingons, seem to blink an eye of the fact that
No,
Curzon is now
no. Gen
Jadzia,
Z,
and they're
my old
just kind of
friend.
like,
Like,
yeah,
that's it.
yeah, Curzon, my old friend, is Jadzia now. Jadzia, my old friend. Like,
That's it.
none of
You
them,
don't fucking care.
yeah, it's like, oh, you're my blood brother. I don't care that you're a woman now. I don't see you as being like weaker now that you have a different body. You're still Curzon. There are some moments of like, still having to remind them that she's Jadzia, not Curzon, and then later on, Ezri, not Jadzia. And there's a lot
Yeah.
to be dug into there about like
And
dead
sweet little
naming and like
Esri. Poor Esri
adjusting.
was not ready. And, like, boy, did she work hard.
She did, but also like I've got so many comments about that last season.
See,
Um,
okay, yeah. I mean, like, so many. So many things
the
could be
char-
said.
the
Anyway,
character and the actress got done so dirty by the way that things were going, and it wasn't her fault. But that's another thing entirely. But the point being is that if you are have a can at least appreciate stuff that may not necessarily reach your intellectual rigor, you can have really interesting and in-depth and high-level intellectual conversations about stuff that don't come across as you just masturbating.
yeah,
Like that
yeah.
that feels like a lot conversation with him is just like watching him intellectually jerk off in
Because again,
front of you.
he shows no curiosity about the topics that interest these other people, right? He's like, I'm not into that, so I don't want to talk about it. Like, it's just it's just so self-centered. And again, he is too clever to find love, but not clever in terms of smart. He is so focused on being perceived as witty, perceived as worldly, as like the like Pokemon he wants to collect as a wife, that he's not being a person connecting with people, right? Like, this is an article that's comes so close to vulnerability so many times and then just like bounces right off of it. It's like, no, I don't need vulnerability. It's vulnerable to say that I was hiatus from sex. That's like so fucking vulnerable. I said that these breakups happened, and I said very quickly that I didn't have emotional intelligence, but like I don't address that any further or how that might be impacting my relationships, because emotional intelligence, as we all know, is not important to relationships.
And there was a lot to be said there that where he could have had an interesting point or self-exploration in the question of, okay, maybe I have been prioritizing just physical attraction too much. But then there's also the very interesting question of, okay, but then where does physical attraction fall in terms of your priorities? Because I am very much of the like I have seen and heard from too many people who try to make like, oh, I'm above liking someone because they're hot. I have to like them because the sapiosexual thing, where I'm just kind of like, okay, but I don't see you going for intellectuals who look like someone who doesn't look like Olivia Wilde. Like, you're not going for intellectuals who look like the stars of Booksmart. And I am
Here's
really racking my brain to think of the actresses' names
right.
because they were amazing.
So here's the
But they're
thing.
not conventionally pretty, and these are not
Yep.
the intellectuals that these guys are going for.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm a fat person, right? I was not always a fat person. When I was thinner, I got a lot more offers in some ways. I actually get a ton of offers still because I'm attractive in other ways. But like, I'm a very smart person. I'm remarkably intelligent. I'm very funny. I'm very good at sex. I'm empathetic. I like to listen. I have a lot of very positive qualities. But there are a lot of people who would never consider dating me because I don't have a specific body type. And I get it. Attraction exists. And also, your attraction has been programmed into you. It's not biologically determined, right? What you find attractive is the result of hundreds of people marketing specific body images to you for your entire fucking lifetime. And research shows that exposing yourself purposefully to a variety of different body shapes and sizes significantly reshapes your attraction patterns in a very short amount of time. So, like, if what you're saying is like, oh, I'm so focused on attraction, what are you doing to unpack that then? What are you doing to broaden the range of people you find attractive? Because I got to tell you, having been in sex positive communities for a long time, every time I'm at a sex party, I look around and I'm like, I cannot believe how hot everybody is. Everybody at this party is so fucking hot. But if you asked a rando which people at the party were attractive, they might find like 4 or 5 out of 100 attractive, because conventional beauty standards are not as much our jam. But those people are fucking gorgeous if you understand how to unpack that very narrow definition of attraction you've been given. And like, this plays into stuff we've talked about with like orthorexia, with the rise in eating disorders. You know, low rise jeans are back in, which is always a negative portent for body image and like the rise of eating disorders. You know, the way that we control our populace is through diet culture, because if people are fucking hungry, they can't fight. And women have been starving ourselves for ages. You know, one of the stories I tell about my mom is that she said to me once, I just want to be skinny before I die, as like one of her biggest goals was to be skinny before she dies. And that is so many women's goals, right? But like, if you can get out of your own very limited set of ideas of what is attractive, you might actually find people you connect to. The problem is, you're never gonna find a well-rounded, interesting person who wants to date you because you fucking suck.
And to what you were saying about, like, you know, the body, you know, the low rise genes coming back and, you know, a negative portent for body images. I want everyone who did not live through this era to go and Google pictures of Jessica Simpson in the late 90s, early zeros, all the way up to
She
maybe
was fat.
2005,
We talked about
2006.
how fat she was all the
Yes, and
time.
then realize we were calling her that, like, all of the media was making jokes about her being too fat.
All the time. Literally all the time. Right? Like, all of the time. It was horrendous. horrendous. Uh yeah, I just like, this is a dude who is so convinced that he is like the most interesting, smart person, but actually has zero fucking personality and zero idea how to be a human being connecting with other people. And I want to punch him so many times in so many places. And mostly, I want to be his therapist so I can sit him down and be like, okay, but like, what are you actually offering these people? Well, I'm
It's
so
also
smart
just
and I've been to these places. I'm like, that's not actually a thing you're offering in a relationship. Those are things that you value about yourself, but like, what are you offering to them?
it's also just the like the things that he lists off as shorthand for being pretty but dumb, like the former page 3 model and what she lacked in academic smarts, just makes me think of Juno Temple, yeah, from Ted Lasso, as a
Mm.
page 3 model who ends up being
Keely.
a
Oh,
brilliant
fucking
Keely, yes,
Keely.
thank you, who is a
Brilliant.
brilliant PR person if anyone listens to her
Brilliant.
for half a second. And then they're like, and then again, the models and singers and musicians and tattoo artists and yoga teachers, and again I'm like, why why are you holding these up as signs of smart but stupid? Hey, like beautiful but stupid, and the like general overall, I can have beautiful or I can have smart, but I can't have both. Why, God? Why do you send me your hardest battles? Is just kind of like, this is, he wants someone who he, I could guarantee you that were he to date a molecular biologist, a hot molecular biologist, and I have dated one and they
She would
exist,
judge the fuck out of him because he's a fucking idiot.
he would be miserable within days, because I get the very strong feeling is what he wants is a woman who is arm candy, who is smart enough that he can point to her and go, look at how smart she is, but not smarter than him.
No, because he needs to feel better than them in order to get his dick hard. And the problem is, it's not just this dude. This is a type of dude. This is a type of dude that's fucking everywhere. You know, that is all the fucking places. These dudes often hate me because I am really smart and I'm very mouthy and I don't let them feel like the smartest person in the room forever and eventually call them on their shit. And that's not something they were looking for because they think that what they want is a smart person. But no, they don't.
No, they want someone who is smart but not as smart as them so they can feel superior.
Well, and smart, but not with standards, right? Like they shouldn't expect emotional intelligence from him. He's so clever.
And again, the
Uh,
emotional intelligence thing that he still doesn't say in anywhere in there that he
that
worked
he
on or
worked
had.
on. So, like, I recognize that I have no intelligence, but I'm not going to work on it. But this woman who didn't know what Bowie is, the fuck is wrong with her? I.
Or, you know, they don't like
Flames.
reading newspapers. It's
Flames
like,
on the
okay,
side of
yes,
my face.
that could be a problem.
Flames.
That could be a problem, but also, and there are a lot of people who don't read for pleasure or who don't like to read, and I understand that. A lot of that has to do with the educational system and the
Yes.
way that everything keeps getting pushed to fucking video by all of the goddamn social networks. So
Yep.
it ain't that they're stupid, it's that culture also influences these things. A person who gets their news from TV or from like visual media, not reading, is not stupid. They're just getting it from a different place. If I watch Princess Weeks do a 2 hour deep dive into the semiotics of, you know, romanticy and what it means in terms of like, you know, culture and liberal versus conservative values,
Yep.
that is not lesser because she is doing it as a video essay instead of long form writing. It's
Yeah.
just the medium. What she is saying is brilliant. Also, go subscribe to Princess Weeks on
Yeah.
YouTube, join
Princess
Nebula, sign up
Weeks.
for her stuff there. She is
Amazing.
amazing. I love her pop culture stuff. Same thing with like Lindsay Ellis, Natalie
Yes.
Wynn, like a whole
Yeah.
bunch of like
Natalie,
visual, like,
I have so many mixed feelings about Natalie Wynn. I think she does great videos. I think also she just, anyway, her thoughts on non-binary people are garbage, and she's a big supporter of AI. And anyway,
mm. But point being is that there's a lot of places where you can get intellectual and intellectually fulfilling and stimulating discussions that aren't
yes,
necessarily the print medium. And I am someone who
yes,
reads compulsively.
I read
And
so much.
so
Like
much of it is
Bernadette
just like,
Peters. Bernadette
Yeah.
Peters is a great costuming video maker. She did a huge hour and a half long video on the history of Oz based on the Wicked movies, play, and the books that were written. Not
Mhm.
the original Oz books, but
Yeah, the
the
Gregory
ones that
Maguire
the
ones.
yeah. And it is a fascinating fucking video, right?
Mhm.
And she's a historian who spent hours and hours looking into all of these different facets of history that you can find, including like a real short image on a blackboard in the back of a lesson that she then broke out to figure out what was happening on that history lesson, right? Like, that is a remarkable talent and intellect that this dude would completely fucking dismiss because it's about Wicked. Like,
Yeah. And there's so much that like it just seems to come down, a lot of it comes down to like you were saying about the Vanderpump Rules, and like, he doesn't know anything about like all of the scandals on there.
yeah,
And it's just one of those cases of like, okay, I realize that everyone thinks of it as being stupid because it's reality TV. It's mostly aimed at women. It is mostly, even positioned by their own network as being trash. But if you look at it as, say, something close to or, reminiscent of court politics in the Ming Dynasty, shit changes a little bit.
yeah. The thing about reality TV is that as a psychologist, I think that a lot of reality TV shows are actually very rich texts because we get to see the various ways that people present themselves, the ways that those presentations fall apart, the ways that people make bids for connection and also fail to recognize bids and also attempt to like create status or escape status, right? Like, there is so much interesting about how humans function just as creatures that you can find in these reality TV shows, even the trashy ones, right? Like, F Boy Island is a trashy, trashy show, but it actually has remarkable things to say about what it is to date and what it is to attempt to find a relationship when you cannot trust the motives of the people you're interacting with, when people are willing to lie and manipulate and scam to get what they want, right? And when you have that understanding and that lens and you bring that to the ways that you interact with people in the dating sphere, it informs you about why certain people may do certain things. Like why these women may not want to text you back because they can see who you are, even though you don't think you're showing them who you are and you don't understand it, right? They can see that the person you are is the person who thinks he's the smartest boy in the room and has no interest in the people around him except for the ways in which they can make him look better or make his life better. And they probably know that not because they have a postgraduate education, but because of the kinds of ways that you can learn that have nothing to do with a fucking PhD or a master's education, right? Like, even the trashiest of things you could point to can be very rich texts when analyzed with the proper lens. And this dismissiveness he brings to so many things and so many people just shows me that he's a fucking moron because he's not seeing how much there is to understand and learn from all of this that is around him.
And like there are, to build on what you were saying, especially about like the narratives it tells and about the bill and like the bids for connection. And there's also so much you can learn just about the way that a narrative is being created regardless of what a person is doing, just from the things like the juxtaposition of shots where a
Yes,
person
the
says
music
something,
they
they
choose.
cut to another person, you are now being told a narrative and being emotionally manipulated, and it is
It
manipulation
is. Yeah,
to
no, they
associate
teach you
these
how
two
to
things
feel.
together. Yeah. And
Yeah,
even if you don't necessarily like the content, just watching the way the content is being delivered can be fascinating because you can see the narrative that's going on behind the scenes and the way that they are trying to tell you how to feel. So it's like there are things that you can get into, even if it's not your stuff. You can usually find a nugget to make it fascinating, even though it's not necessarily your jam. And other times it's just okay to go like, you know what? I don't get it. I do not understand the appeal, but then again, it's also not for me. There are a
and
lot
can't you
of
enjoy somebody else's enjoyment? Like, can't,
yeah,
like, I love listening to people talk about things that they are passionate about that I know nothing about because their passion is fascinating and
yeah.
I can learn about something I would have never heard about otherwise, right? All right,
And
I
sometimes
want
you
to
can
ask you. Okay,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead. I
for it.
have a
Ask
question.
away.
So I want to ask you a question. This line, the person told him that reading one of his articles was a real turnoff. We both write stuff.
Mhm.
If someone you were dating read one of your columns and was like, yeah, it was a real turnoff, what would your reaction be? Because his reaction seems to have been like, ugh, idiot. Right?
I would be very curious as to know, like, okay, what
Yes.
was it?
I
The
want, like,
subject? Was it the way that I
I'd be like,
like answered it? Like,
really? Like, what? Can you? I want to know more about that. Like, what was it? Because I would want to know, like, was I fucking up in this in a way that I didn't realize? Was I like not on my game and so I didn't write it well? Was this revealing something about me that you didn't know before? Is this revealing that we have very different priorities
mhm.
or dynamics that are important to us? Right? Like, I would want to know more. This would make me so curious. And I don't see that from him. I don't see any curiosity.
I actually had an experience like that. First of all, I tend to assume that my friends aren't reading my stuff.
I read
Um,
your stuff a lot
so
because
when I hear from them and they say like I just read the thing you did, I was like, thank you? Question mark. So someone saying I read this and I found it a turn off. I think my first surprise is gonna be like, you read it? Why? But recently, like not that long ago, another blogger who's a sex blogger, girl on the net, one of I like my archive, I posted a thing from my archive about poly relationships and someone who is trying to be poly when maybe they don't want to. And girl on the net was like, I think I really disagree with some of your takes on this. And she was saying, it's like, I really kind of feel like I feel kind of strongly about these things. I know it's an old piece. Have you ever considered going back and revisiting it? And so I was like, actually, yeah, because I do at the beginning of every year like to go back and grab some old columns and re-answer them like they were new, just to see like how things have changed. And like just the fact that she's like, I think I kind of disagree with your take on this. I was like, say more. In fact, write more. Like I said, like if you got a take on this and you want to write it, please by all means, full permission, write it. You don't need to run it past me to go, is this okay? Just like write it, publish it however you want, excoriate me if you feel like it. Like if someone whose work I respect, like hers, is like, hey, I think you got this wrong, or I think this thing you did really sucked. I mean, yes, it is going to hurt my ego. I will freely admit that. But at the same
But I
time,
want
it's
to
just,
know. I want to know more about it. I want to understand that because I know I'm not perfect. And like this dude is like, oh, the common denominator was me. I'm like not an Einstein, but I don't believe that he believes any of that. Like
yeah.
the way that he writes this is not coming from the perspective of someone who has deeply examined himself and figured out there are things he needs to work on. The way he writes this is like, the thing is, I'm just like so smart. And I've just been going for these fucking banging hotties that I like nail all the time because like everybody thinks I'm so fucking hot. But like maybe I should like care about talking to them. But like all these fucking idiots just like don't even know who Bowie is. And then I met this hottie and I gave her like I sent her a message and she didn't even message me back. And then this other one, we had like a great conversation, but like she wants kids like now, and I just whatever. Like that's not the life I want.
Yeah. I mean, I've got to admit, writing about your own relationships, especially if you're trying to do so from a place of authority, can be really tricky because there's the
Yeah.
humble brag route and then there's the excoriating yourself route. And neither
Yeah.
of which are attractive, neither of which are helpful. But
Yeah.
if you're trying to establish yourself as an authority, as someone who, has dated, conventionally attractive women, so that other people who are, might listen to you, there you have to be walking a fine line between acknowledging that yes, I was choosing to date people who are conventionally attractive without coming off as being braggy, but at the same time, you don't want to come off as being excessively performatively apologizing, because then in both cases, in one, you're brushing up your ego, on the other one, you're coming off as insincere, and it is admittedly difficult to do so in a way that is feels authentic, that doesn't feel braggy, that does feel aware, self-aware, but also taking responsibility and ownership of
Yeah.
not just your successes, but also where you fucked up in ways that don't make you a hero for acknowledging, oh, I kind of fucked up over here, but in
Right.
ways that are just like, yup, nope, this is a lesson I had to learn, and it really sucked, and hopefully I'm not going to repeat it in the future.
Yeah. And I did a lot of that in my book and it was not perfect. I'm still not perfect at doing that. It's tough to write about. I wanted to, in my book, write a lot about mistakes that I made because I wanted people to know that, like, it's so easy to platform the people writing the books about polyamory and be like, they're amazing. They must be on this pedestal and they do everything right. And I wanted to emphasize, like, no, a lot of the knowledge that I have is from fucking things up and
Mhm.
is stuff I still struggle to do all the time because I'm an imperfect human and I'm not, the Dr. Liz who can write the book and teach the class is my best self, and I'm not always my best self. I aim towards it. It's a vector that I hold on to, but it's
Mhm.
not a destination I'm ever going to reach. And I feel like the problem is this dude doesn't have any real humility. He doesn't have any true ability to let go of his need to be the specialist boy. It's fascinating to me that he's come this far in life and has not been humbled, and it's because he's a white man. But, you know, the, he talks about all of these things that are so clearly reasons he cannot find what it is that he's looking for. Like bars and music festivals, probably not the best way to meet age appropriate women who want to have kids with you at some point and
Great
who have
places to have
postgraduate degrees.
conversations. They're going to really
No.
reveal someone's true intellect.
It's a
Like
great
you're,
place to
it's
find someone to fuck, right? It's a great place to find someone to fuck. Are you going to get to know someone there? No, absolutely fucking not. Right? Like, how are you going to do that? It's too fucking loud. God, I'm so old. I just,
it's a great place to start a conversation, but it's definitely going to be a place where the conversation's going to have to keep going elsewhere to really kind of like
I
figure
don't think it's
things
a good place
out.
to even start it if he means what he's saying, because the only thing you're going to notice at those venues is how they look. That is the
And
only information that's going to be available to you.
and
Is how
I want to give some credit where credit is due. That is a valid choice. Like physical attraction is going to be important if you are someone who wants a physical relationship with a person. Even if you're asexual, aesthetic appreciation is going to be important. So there is
sure.
nothing wrong with, your first impression about a person, or the reason why you went up to talk with them is because you found them attractive. Ideally, you're also going to find things that are going to bolster and support that attraction beyond just the physical. One of the questions that comes up a lot in old PUA stuff was that you're supposed to ask women as, what do you have going for you besides your looks? Now, this is one of those areas where it's a good idea delivered wrongly, because in the PUA scene, and this is admittedly 20 years ago when this was all like brand new and everyone hadn't necessarily melted it to death, and it hadn't, turned into the red pill and the Andrew Tates and the claviculars and all the rest of that shit. This was a challenge where you're trying to basically push a woman into justifying her existence to you. I still tell people to ask, functionally, not literally, what do you have going for you besides your looks, so that you can find out whether there is anything to this person besides physical attraction that would make them a good match for you, rather so that you are looking at them from a position of, okay, my goal is to meet someone who, and to spend as little time dating as possible, because my goal is to meet someone who is right for me, and I want to spend as little time with someone who is not. So just because someone is hot doesn't mean they're right for you. So what do they have going for them besides their looks? And the other benefit of this is that when you're looking at them from this, how are you right for me, is that you're not coming to it from a position, as a lot of guys who are inexperienced are, of, you're hot, that means you have more status, more value, more something than me, and I have to earn your approval, which means you're coming to it from a place of supplication and insecurity, which means that even if it does work out, you're not going to feel secure in the relationship. Whereas if you feel like you are coming to it from a, I know what I like, I know what I want, I know what I need in a relationship. Do you have these things? Do you have the things that I need to be satisfied in a relationship for a relationship to work? It comes from a place of collaboration, not supplication, or from a place of trying to impress the other person so they are supplicating to you.
The reason I say about like picking based on who you find hot is that I think, especially if you do the work at unpacking cultural scripts about what hot is supposed to be, there are a lot of people who, when I first looked at them, I wasn't like, man, I'm so attracted to this person. But as soon as we start talking, that changes very
Oh
rapidly.
yeah.
right? Some of the play parties I go to out here in the Bay Area do a thing at the start of the night that you can join if you want to, called the Bound Buffet, where if you want to, you can tie yourself up or get tied up, and whatever skin of yours is exposed, people can come up and touch just whoever wants to. Like you can still tell people no, but like the idea is that you're like offering yourself up for these random encounters, right? And if you want to, you can be blindfolded, like you can do whatever you want. There have been multiple times that I've done that where I've been blindfolded and interacted with someone, and the way that they interact with my body was so fucking hot. And if I see them after, I'm like, oh, that's not who I would have like initially thought, but like actually I am really hot for them now because of how they are with me when we interact. I think the issue with making those choices based on just what you see is you're going to filter out a fuck ton of people who are going to be a much better match for you and who you would find attractive once you gave them a shot. I think the problem is when you're used to picking based on that first impression, you end up screwing yourself over because you're ruling out a ton of people for whom your attraction would change if you gave it a chance. But you're assuming that that's just going to be a static fucking quality when it's not.
See, that's one of the things that one of the issues I have with dating apps is that it becomes so very easy
Yes.
to laser focus in on specific traits, specific things, especially photos, and especially it was always been bad. It's always been a very like lookism based medium, but especially once Tinder came along and everything became
Yeah.
a swipe mechanic and the negative dark patterns that came with it
Yep.
really turbocharged that shit. It's very easy to pass on people who are great, who would not be a good match for you on paper, but if you met them at a, out on the street or at a party or somewhere and you just started talking, you would probably have a much better time and realize that, yeah, you might not have swiped right on them on Tinder, but in person they just got that je ne sais quoi that really does it for you, because there are so many qualities that you miss when you're focused in on what you think you want. You miss out on opportunities for serendipity.
Yeah. And I think that it's this, he in general seems to be flattening the people that he's dating to
Mhm.
very small collections of traits, which is why if he was my therapy client, I would tell him he should not be meeting people at bars and music festivals because number one, it's not successful for him, and number two, it's emphasizing the things he's saying he doesn't want to emphasize anymore. If what you want is to not be focused on picking people based only on their looks, don't do bars and music festivals because that's you're never going to fucking meet people there, right? Do you have a hobby? Do you have a hobby that you actually engage in? It doesn't sound like he does. Pick up fucking knitting, bro. Go to a knitting circle. Meet some humans. I don't know. I just like, I think also that part of that dynamic at bars and music festivals, in there is a way in which it reinforces the cultural objectification of women and like reinforces that flattening of them down to their attractiveness and down to very particular qualities that you're supposed to have to be an attractive woman in those spaces. And I don't think if he genuinely means what he is saying, which I don't think he does, that meeting people in those spaces is going to be helpful for him because it's not going to move him away from this pattern he's trying to change. It's going to pull him back towards it.
Yeah, overall, like I said, this really just comes off as an excuse for bragging about how awesome he is and how much of, how hard he struggles with people who just can't match his awesome. And that's honestly the biggest turnoff of them all, is just putting this self-aggrandizement, and we all self-aggrandize, let us not kid
Sure.
ourselves, but doing so to such a degree in public, it's just kind of like it's like masturbating. Sure, some people may want to watch you do it, but for the most part you probably should ask them first and not just do it in front of everybody for all in God to see
Yeah.
and then expect everyone to be impressed.
And the thing is, if you look at his picture, he's not attractive, really. Like he's an average looking white dude. He has longish hair, but like I've seen that face a million times. There's nothing about him that's particularly striking at all. And even in this article, what does he offer? He's been to a bunch of countries. Cool, so have I. And like, how did they change you? How did you learn and grow? Right? You know who Bowie is. Cool. Why does that matter to you personally? Like
Yeah,
what
why does it matter that she doesn't know who David Bowie is?
Why did
Like,
you learn Spanish? Why can you hold a like? Why Spanish? Why not another language? Why is it important to you to be able to hold a simple conversation in Spanish? What is it about that that's important to you? Why just a few chords on a guitar? Did you like try it and give it up? Did you learn just enough to kind of sort of impress people? Like, nothing in here shows that anything matters to you at all, including the things that you theoretically are interested in. It seems like nothing matters. And yeah, no one's going to want to fucking date you because you don't exist.
I still keep coming back to the Bowie thing because it's just like, I don't know who the fuck Ice Spice is. I see the name come up in like entertainment stuff all the time, and
Sure.
I'm just like, I don't know who the fuck that is. That doesn't make me stupid. This is a person who is clearly in the cultural zeitgeist based on how often I see them, but I am also damn near 50 years old, and I am not just going to be up on, top 40 pop because it ain't for me.
Well, and
I'm
like,
not its target market, and it's not what I listen to most of the time.
and these days there is so much information that keeping up on everything is impossible,
Mhm.
right? Like, you can't be up on everything. You can be up on some current events in some places, you can be up on some genres of music in some eras. Like, you're not going to be up on everything, and he doesn't seem to recognize that that is true of him as well, right? If
Yeah.
he's up on it, why isn't everybody should know this? But like, dude, you don't know a ton of shit. You don't even know how to be a human being in relationship with other human beings. You think that it involves holding a fucking axe in the air. Like,
Mhm.
he needs humility. He needs actual vulnerability. He needs to figure out how to be a person that sees the worth and value of other people beyond what they are to him,
And to
that has
recognize that
curiosity about their world, that has curiosity about them as people.
stuff that he sees as being signs of like, you know, low culture, low intellect or whatever is, sometimes it's just that is ignorance on your part. It's like, I could come off and look at K-pop Demon Hunters and go, look at this slop. It's just for, trying to do
It's
these
so
things. It's like
fucking deep,
the
actually.
level of fucking cultural jokes just in Derpy and Sussy alone
Oh my
are
god, amazing. And
like,
you know the history of that in the like art history realm, right? That like
yeah.
Derpy
The
was meant to
gag about I
represent
keep making a
money the
hat for the
least.
tiger and the bird keeps stealing
Yeah,
it, like that is a layered joke.
there's a layered joke, right? And it's this is just a person who is so utterly incurious and convinced that he is the smartest boy and everybody should like him. But he's just so fucking stupid. You know, I have a master's degree in journalism. Like, bitch, I got a doctorate. You're not that fucking educated. Good for you. You got a master's in journalism. Turns out you don't actually know how to write yet, so maybe you should have worked harder in school. I don't know. Just saying.
I mean, I got a doctorate and I paid $20 for it, so where's your god now?
I paid way more than $20.
Well, that was
Um,
your foolish mistake.
it's
I'm a
true.
doctor of
Very true.
metaphysics. Thank you very much. Let's see you beat that.
Amazing.
I
Amazing.
know,
That
it's
makes
great.
me
I
so
got the best
happy.
education. $20. Goodbye.
I'm so happy for you. Yeah, he's just a fucking idiot. And I want to punch him. I think he deserves all the punches in the world. If you see his smarmy little face, I think you should punch him. No, I'm not advocating violence. I just think you should punch him. Emotionally, maybe. He's just, you know what? You know what he is? He's Ned Fulmer.
You're
Okay. Oh
gonna have to
God, I
explain
have
that
so
reference
much to
to me.
teach you. So Ned Fulmer was a try guy who cheated on his wife with one of his
Ah,
producers, who
okay.
was his employee. He was the head of HR for their company. Um,
This I remember. I did not know the names, but thank you.
yeah, no, he's recently started a podcast called Rock Bottom where he interviews people about life lessons they learned, and also has another channel where he definitely isn't just doing try guys videos alone and poorly.
Oh, that
But his
hurts.
first podcast episode was with his ex Ariel, and towards the end he's talking about how he just like really wants to like create these videos that make people curious and blow and host this podcast and interview people, and she kind of laughed and he's like, what? And she's like, I mean, you really think you're that interesting? And like brutal but perfect. And that's what this dude needs to hear. Like, do you really think you're that interesting? Like,
I have to admit, if someone asked me that, I would probably just shatter like glass, and then someone would like it would be like a cartoon. Someone would just come along and just kind of sweep the parts off.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what this dude needs. He needs someone to be like, "Oh, buddy, you think that you're that interesting? Oh, huh."
Oh, that would hurt so much. Oh God. Oh, that hurts so bad. I think we're gonna have to stop there because otherwise, I'm just gonna go back to therapy.
So yeah,
Oh, thank you for
yeah.
unlocking
In
a new
closing,
nightmare.
you're welcome. In closing, punch him in the face, punch him in the dick, punch him in the throat, punch him in the feelings. If
Ask
you're
him why he
listening to
thinks he's
this,
interesting. Just let it,
Mattha
and just
Busby,
let it hang. Just let this awkward silence grow as he just sits there and going like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "Why do you think you're interesting?"
yeah, Mattha Busby, if you ever hear this, I don't think you will because you're not curious about anyone who isn't you. But if you do ever hear this, I just want you to know you're possibly the most milquetoast, boring little boy on the planet. And I don't think you're half as intelligent as you think you are. Because if you were actually clever, your wit would be something other people perceived. And that girl would have texted you back. Like, this is a you problem and that you still
And
haven't
Liz is
fixed.
saying that while sitting across from me. So think about that, what that says about you for a second. Think about that comparison. They're
I'm
saying that
just
you're the
saying.
like most milquetoast person, and I am literally right here.
Like you're a soggy saltine. That is what you are. You are a soggy, stale saltine of a person, and I wish you nothing but the worst. May you have the day you deserve.
Okay, we are going to let you have the final word on that one. And so, Dr. Liz, where can we find you online?
I promise I'm not always this mean.
Yeah, they
Only
are.
for people who deserve it. I mean, to be fair, did you see what
My
he's wearing?
ego is a rotten
Picture?
shell of what
His
it once
shirt?
was.
In his picture, his shirt says yawn. And like, same, bro. That's the response you elicit from me. Anyway, my website, drlizpowell.com. I'm on all the social medias at Dr. Liz Powell, Dr. Liz Powell, patreon.com/Dr. Liz. Harris, where can people find you?
I write my dating advice column, paging Dr. Nerdlove at drnerdlove.com. Everything written out. If you have a dating dilemma or a relationship problem you would like me to answer in the column, you can send it in to drnerdlove.com/contact. You can find me where the skies are blue. That is my primary social media these days at drnerdlove. Same with Instagram, same with Facebook. Technically, I'm still on Twitter. We'll see how much longer that lasts.
Technically.
Other and just as Dr. Liz does, I have my own Patreon, patreon.com/drnerdlove. And soon we will have a Patreon for here. We will
Yes,
let you
we
know
will.
as soon as that launches.
As soon as we
But
make that happen.
when that day comes, and may it be soon, we'll just leave you with the catchphrase we're still workshopping.
It'll be fine. Someday this will be like a professional podcast. It's fine. We're just both disasters, and here
But
we
today
are.
is not that day.
So anyway, do
Yes.
as we say, not as they did.